Black Panther blew past box office estimates in its opening weekend. Huge crowds of people packed into theaters across the country to see this new superhero movie. So far, the film has raked in an estimated $192 million in the U.S. and Canada. That makes it the fifth highest grossing opening weekend in Hollywood history. Jericka Duncan shows us how Black Panther is making its mark as a cultural phenomenon.
The big cat is out of his cage and pouncing on the big screen.
Let's go!
Black Panther is the latest in a long line of Marvel comic book superheroes turned movie stars. And this one has fans in a feline frenzy.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Easily the best Marvel movie.
I was just so looking forward to this movie since the day the trailer came out.
Typically, movie superheroes, whether Men of Steel, Gods of Thunder, or Dark Knights, are white.
My son, it is your time.
So Black Panther has appealed to comic book fans as well as a more general black audience. And when those audiences intersect, there's super excitement.
This is what y'all feel like all the time? I would love this country too.
The film holds special meaning for many longtime fans and particularly for Ariel Johnson.
I feel like I might actually leave this movie comatose. I might need to be carried out.
Johnson, a self-described blurred, that's a black nerd.
That is the beauty of a comic book store.
Is one of the first black women to open a comic book store on the East Coast. She opened Amalgam Comics and Coffee House in Philadelphia a little more than 2 years ago. She's been waiting for a film like Black Panther since she fell in love with comic books as a girl.
When did your love for superheroes begin?
I always liked superheroes, but it wasn't until I was about 11 or so that I was actually introduced to the X-Men, and the thing that really grabbed me was Storm. Because up until that point, I had never seen a black woman superhero. There's something clicks when you start to see yourself, reflected back at you.
This isn't the first time a black comic book hero was the lead role in a film. The three-part Blade series, beginning in the late 90s, starred Wesley Snipes as a vampire hunter.
Hey, Blade!
But when you think about the people who were around Blade in that movie, it wasn't like an all-black cast. I think the thing about Black Panther, it is essentially a black movie, in those terms, like in Hollywood terms, but usually when the movie is a black movie, white audiences don't see it.
But that's not the case with Black Panther. The box office tells the tale of the film's success. This weekend, it brought in nearly $200 million, and it set the record for a live-action superhero movie on Rotten Tomatoes with a score of 97%.
I knew for a fact that it was going to be a huge success.
John Jennings is a professor of media and cultural studies at the University of California, Riverside, and he's the co-author of Black Comics Returns.
The Black Panther film is a cultural phenomenon because images like this have not really been seen in major multiplexes before.
Okay.
Images like black director Ryan Coogler leading a predominantly black cast and black royalty set in a scientifically advanced African nation, the fictional Wakanda.
A lot of these films that we've seen before, like 12 Years a Slave or Precious or something like that, are dealing with heavy subjects that are positing black suffering as a central mode of existence for black Americans. I think that Black Panther is a celebration of what's at the end of that trauma, right? This is about black joy.
So what do you think is different about this film?
Well, because I think people are just excited about it, and because it's a Marvel property, because it's a well-known character, people are going to be in those seats no matter what color they are.
For CBS This Morning, Jericka Duncan, Philadelphia.
And that's why it's so exciting. I thought Ariel Johnson made such a good point. Normally when it's a black cast and a black crew, it's designed for black audiences, or so they think. This has shown that this is simply it's a black movie, no question, but it's a great movie, and that's more importantly.
Yeah, reporting from the backseat of my son's car with his friends, it was a huge debate about vibranium, which means they love the movie and what's inside of it as much as his sister loved the message.
And I'm assuming your son is white.
He is.
See, that makes a point. People want to see this movie.
And it's just the first weekend.
Yeah, I know. That's what's so exciting, Norah.